Hey friends, I wanted to sit down today and give you some real, honest, raw reflections on our family summit that we did this year, 2026, for the first time. If you've been following along, you may have seen some of our videos about the preparation for our family summit and some of the pillars and different things of thought that we wanted to implement into our family. And so today I just want to get back on and I want to tell you what was successful and what was not successful. So if you know, or if you remember, that this family summit was something that my husband and I have been talking about for a few years. We usually just did it the two of us, but we really wanted to incorporate the whole family into it. And so we wanted to set aside intentional time as a family just to slow down, to reflect, and to pray and talk about where we have been and where we are going. And this year, we finally did it. We finally did it as a family. And I want to share what worked really well and what we're going to change for next time and why, of course. Overall, this experience was incredibly meaningful for our family. And at its core, the Family Summit gave us tons of clarity and vision for where we want to go in this 2026 year. In the busyness of everyday life, it is easy to move from one week to the next without stopping and reflecting. And the summit really created a space where we could step back together as a family and look at the bigger picture. It helped us intentionally talk about our family culture, our goals, and rhythms that we want to cultivate in our home for this upcoming year. And even though it wasn't perfect, as nothing is the very first time you do it, it was exactly what we hoped we would accomplish came from it. So one thing that we learned very quickly was that shorter can actually be better. Some of our pillars, and if you remember, we started with 12, then we moved to 10. Some of our pillars were actually a little bit too long, especially because we wanted to incorporate the kids. We realized that attention and engagement and depth don't come from length, right? They come from focus. And just to remind you, our oldest kid is 12, and then down to baby in the belly, about to come out in 8 days. So excited. So next year, what we're going to do is we're going to shorten a few of the pillars and keep the conversation more intentional and more streamlined. One example is our first two pillars. One was reflecting on the previous year and one was gratitude. We really think that that could be streamlined together and do that pillar as one family meeting time. So that way everyone can stay present and participate fully. One of the most meaningful parts of our entire summit was, like I mentioned, our gratitude and reflection pillar. And even though it was so good to start off our summit with that and really focus on that, we spent time reflecting on the previous year together. I even created a slideshow just on my phone. It was super simple and everyone loved it. They loved reflecting on all the things that we have accomplished this year, some of the hard moments this year. Watching those photos together really sparked stories and laughter and gratitude. And it reminded us of the Lord's faithfulness, even in those hard moments, like when my dad had a stroke or Darren lost his job. That reflection time grounded us. And it really truly grounded the whole summit because we reflected and brought those memories back up throughout. It set the tone for thankfulness and it carried that through everything else. So this is something that we absolutely will keep, but we'll likely combine for next year and make it one session, one pillar. Another big lesson was the importance of pairing meaningful conversation with something tangible and enjoyable, especially for kids. So we noticed that when the environment felt warm and inviting, the conversation flowed more naturally. One evening, we got hot chocolate out during our meeting time, and it seemed like such a small thing. It's just a little additive, but it really mattered, and it gave something to reflect on. When the next day, they're like, wait, do we not get hot chocolate? It helped everyone really relax and engage and feel excited to participate in the conversation. So next year we want to be really intentional about adding something simple and enjoyable to each of our pillars. Now, if you're wondering what you're talking about, what are these pillars? We came up with core things that we wanted to talk about and focus on as a family in our family meeting time. a lot of people during their family summits will go somewhere else. They'll go on vacation. Maybe they'll go rent a Airbnb or a retreat, just get out of their actual home and focus on making it like an all-day event and just spend like 2 days going over the whole family summit. Well, we just didn't have that capacity, especially with being like almost due with this baby. And so we decided to take our family Bible time, which is about 30 minutes to an hour in the evening. And because we had 10 pillars, one being a marriage, so Darren and I just went on a date, and the rest of them, it took us about a week to get through doing one pillar a night. And that was kind of long. That's why I'm saying we probably would combine a few of them next time and make something special in the evenings if we choose not to go out next year, which I think would be really fun, but it's sometimes not always in the budget. So we also learned something important about leadership and preparation. We realized that my husband Darren, he's an amazing leader and he can like pick up things on the fly and like talk about it. But we really realized that Darren needed a few minutes before each family meeting to review the topic, review the questions that the kids would have answered in their questionnaire. And even though Darren and I have answered questions as well, really wanted to like pray about it and have like some quiet preparation time to help him lead more confidently and with clarity. And it reminded us that strong leadership doesn't happen by accident. It's actually cultivated through that prayer and preparation. So that's something we'll definitely want to add into our structure plan for next time. One of my favorite parts, and I think I mentioned it earlier probably because it was one of my favorite parts of the entire summit, was the marriage pillar. Darren and I talk about marriage a lot and we reflect on it a lot, but we did a couple unique things with this marriage pillar that I really enjoyed. So instead of trying to fit it in to the normal routine, Darren and I intentionally went out on a date. Just the two of us with my little clipboard and the question. We brought those questions with us and we used that time to talk intentionally about our marriage. Being out of the house really did help us focus and connect and have that meaningful conversation without interruptions. And we usually are really good at interruptions. We have, it's currently 7 kids. Number 8 is on the way. And so there's never a day when there's not interruptions. But it reminded us that our marriage does deserve a dedicated time and intention so that we can give it all of our attention in the moment. One unique thing in the marriage pillar that we did that we heard about from a podcast. The podcast was the Jeremy Pryor Family Teams podcast. And one of the things that they did, which I thought was very unique, I hadn't heard about it before, was in their marriage section, they had a ask question that if it was within your ability, you were to say yes to. So the husband would have a request for the wife and the wife would have a request for the husband. And if it was within their ability and within their capability, that they would say yes to their spouse. And uniquely, Darren and I's was the same. We really have this like focus this year on health. And so we asked each other to focus on health for themselves and to help us focus on health. So anyways, it was really interesting, but it was good. It was our first time ever doing that. But anyways, looking back at the family summit, it wasn't perfection. Like there was definitely some like pulling a little bit, like, hey, let's finish this worksheet. Hey, let's get ready for our family summit tonight. Lots of excitement, but a little bit of trepidation when you don't quite know what's going on. So I get it, right? But it really, even though it wasn't about perfection, it was about creating space, a space to reflect and to listen and a space to pray as a family, which I loved that. And a space really to like move forward together. It helped us identify where we are strong and where we want to grow. So it gave us a shared vision, which is, I think, so important that it doesn't just stay in the mom and dad, but moves down to the family. So gave us a shared vision as a family moving into this next year. And if you've been considering something like this for your family, I want to encourage you. You don't need to make a complicated plan. I know I overcomplicate things enough. You don't need to have everything even figured out. And don't let that prevent you. Just take that step of faith forwards. You just need the willingness to pause and to be intentional together as a family. Even a simple summit can have a lasting impact. So thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to subscribe, and I can't wait to announce our baby number 8 coming soon. So make sure you subscribe.